Much like the ceaseless marching of time and the never-ending unfolding of entropy into the final states of the universe, Squid Chess waits for no one. However, apparently I do wait for Squid Chess. In fact, I waited like 2 months without touching or looking at or even thinking about the game, and when I came back to it I realized suddenly that the game was 90% done. At least 90% of the hard part is done, which accounts for about 50% of the content and about 20% of the actual work. Anyway, it somehow achieved this huge leap in progress without being actively developed at all. That being said, I have actually been working on it after that. If you've been keeping up to date with my YouTube channel, you might notice that I have been live streaming a bit of development progress here and there, usually just on weekends. It actually helps to keep me focused when I just want to block out some time to work on it. And that's another kind of perceptual shift that I've had in this time. I was always thinking that the point of a live stream is to show off the game, and in a way it does have that purpose, but really, I just find it helpful to have the accountability to get work done. And also people come up and chat with me, which breaks up some of the dry and boring tasks. So let's talk about some of the actual changes that I've made. The 4 worlds are now split up into a progression, and this was probably the biggest change to the game's design structure. So you start off in the safe world, and then when you power up you move on to the dungeon world, and you probably get immediately wrecked and you have to go back to the safe world. But eventually, through upgrades and buying new pieces, you make it to the sun world. And then only the most powerful teams make it through to the nightmare, but actually I haven't even put that in the game yet, so I guess don't worry about it. For now, I'm just trying to focus on the safe world to dungeon world progression, which is coming up to a really good place, I think. The upgrades are kind of underpinning all of this, so I need to think carefully about that, as well as the pricing for the upgrades and the resources, and there's quite a lot of moving parts. I'll probably have to adjust and make a few new layouts for the dungeon world. I don't want to swarm the player with esoteric pieces right off the bat. I think it should just be one step up from the safe world, which to me is just meaning layouts of mostly the basic chess pieces. Maybe a couple of weird ones, but not too overboard. I think the sun world will be where it really goes off the deep end. Speaking of making new layouts, for the first time ever, I've actually developed a tool to help me develop the game. That is a real level editor. So all the levels are stored in JSON now, rather than a huge dictionary somewhere in a random GD script file, meaning that they can be read and written by the in-game graphical level editor. This didn't even take me as long as I was worried about. It was maybe like 2 or 3 days worth of work, but it's made a huge difference to my debugging workflow. Truthfully, I've never done anything like this before, but now I see the light, and I highly recommend dedicating the time to do this kind of thing in your own game, because it can be really useful. Anyway, that being said, I haven't made a huge use of it yet. I mean, I have, but I'll get to what's on my to-do list a little bit later. One of the biggest code-level changes I've made to the game is to completely gut the existing implementation of the board, and I mean it. Again, I don't think I've ever made such a huge infrastructural change to a game after the initial development, but I mean, I was getting a lot of bugs with the board being an authoritative entity that moves the pieces with extra considerations for where the animations should go and things like that, and it was really a total mess. The pieces were getting frozen, there were locations on the board that were turning into sinkholes where pieces would get stuck. They'd get knocked out by other pieces and then they would get stuck instead. It was the worst. But I've rewritten this, finally, as I tried to do like 2 or 3 times before, but I've actually done it now. The board is now a completely neutral entity. It exerts no power over where the pieces go. They all decide that for themselves. It does track where the pieces are for pathfinding purposes, but it no longer really does anything. Pieces also can now move themselves instantly, and the graphics are just kind of playing catch-up instead of being intimately interwoven into the behavior of the piece itself. It's a much easier way to deal with it. The game no longer bugs out if you increase the game speed. In fact, you could hypothetically have an unlimited game speed because the pieces all behave and move themselves instantly. Unfortunately, one of the side effects of gutting the board is that I now have to re-implement the code logic for all the pieces that I've implemented so far. And I've only done about half of them. I've done the basic chess pieces, because they're straightforward, and I've done the pistol shrimp. But I'm not going to rush this. The initial implementations of, well, frankly all the pieces, but especially the weird ones, were very rushed because I was just looking at getting a prototype to see if it works in the game. Now I guess I'm looking at making more refined implementations, and this isn't just based on the actual behavioral logic, although there is an element of that. It's the appearances too. You might have already noticed I've actually redesigned all the pieces. They're no longer using Creative Commons Zero assets that I've taken from other places. They're all my original content drawings now. I might edit the pistol shrimp a little bit, because it does look a bit weird, especially in the black variant, because I drew the white variant first, but they're definitely looking better than they were, and considering that the pistol shrimp was previously a square photograph of a cooked shrimp, I think it is a step in the right direction. I would like to accommodate some animations and fancier graphics for each of these guys. I mean, I was live streaming recently, and after re-implementing the pistol shrimp logic, I got to thinking, wouldn't it be nice if there was some graphical effects to denote what he is actually doing? The idea of the pistol shrimp is that he, like the real-life species, will punch so hard that it instantly breaks all layers of shields, and if you don't have any shields, it'll destroy the piece instantly. You gotta signify that somehow. If it just looks like another chess piece, nobody is going to understand what that piece is doing. It's really a similar case for the Summoner, the Berserker, and the Warlock. They all have this rushed, ugly-looking fireball effect. I mean, I need to change that to begin with. But you know, the good thing about Squid Chess is that I can take as long as I want to finish it. I do not have to rush it. I can take the time to think about how to represent these things. The pistol shrimp punching, the Summoner summoning, the Warlock summoning fireballs across the board. I mean, there's loads of them. And since the progression is kind of getting more locked in, the game is starting to take shape, I'm kind of thinking that we're getting to the good part of the development cycle, and this is my to-do list for the rest of the game. So number 1, there's gotta be a boss fight for each of the worlds. It would be weird if there wasn't. You gotta have something to punctuate the completion of the world. Number 2, there should be maybe 3 or 4 upgrades per world per piece. Some pieces are only unlockable in the later worlds, so this isn't really as many as it sounds. In fact, for a lot of them that's going to be between 8 or 12 upgrades, and that's not a massive number. Number 3, I am happy with the number of pieces that there are right now, at least for the first 2 worlds. I mean, maybe I'll put a couple more for the Sun world, or maybe a few won't work out and I'll take them out, and who knows. But I'll need a bunch more for the Nightmare. I'm thinking like 10 pieces more. And I have a huge list of hypothetical pieces, so I'm not starved for ideas by any means. But I would like to have some more pieces in the game. Number 4, I would also like to set a target for the number of layouts per world. I really don't want it to feel redundant or repetitive in any way when the player is actually going through this. So I'm thinking maybe 25 layouts per world is a good number to shoot for. I mean, realistically, it's not that hard to come up with good layouts if I just block the time and get to work. The playtesting takes a bit more time, and it's a bit relative to what kind of team the player would have at that stage of the game. But anyway, that's the plan, and all of that could change. Nothing is certain. Nothing is promised. Not even the fact that Squid Chess will ever release. I mean, okay, it will eventually, as time approaches infinity. It will. But you never know. Maybe I'll get fatally struck by lightning tomorrow, and I never get the chance. In that event, I would like somebody to break into my house and take the game files and then complete it for me. Okay. The game's gotta get done in one way or another. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more videos about Squid Chess. I mean, I'm sorry that this video took so long to make. It's been about 2 months, but you get about double the content too. And I'm busy. I have a day job. What can I say?